So I kind of thought of an interesting topic here that is really interactive with you guys. I thought it'd be interesting to take a little bit of a break from all the news stories and stuff like that, especially because we don't really do this type of stuff often. I would definitely like to. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my top 3 rappers. Now, what I want you guys to do is leave in the comments down below who your top 3 rappers are. You should state why, at least briefly. Now, when it comes to this situation, there's going to be, it's very subjective, right? But there has to be certain ground rules. So you can't say somebody like Lil Yachty is better than Tupac. Like that, you just can't do that because Lil Yachty is so new in the game. Of course, Tupac has way more music out than him, and that's just a joke of a comparison, right? You can't do stuff like that. You can't say Childish Gambino is better than Tupac. You can't do any of that. That's BS. But you could argue something like Jay-Z is better than Biggie or better than Nas or even Tupac or something. That's something that you could argue, or Big Pun, Big L, whoever that is actually had a decent amount of music and is somewhat comparable in those terms, but not Lil Yachty or that. But anyways, so to my top 3. So I'm gonna build up from the bottom. So my number 3 spot, now to be honest, a lot of people, when you say big 3, they'll be able to easily point it out to you and be like, this is my 3, right? For me, really, I have just a strong 2, and I'll get to those 2, but I don't really have a strong 3, so I'm going to put Tupac at my 3rd spot. Now, Tupac I put at my 3rd spot because obviously he's an extremely influential rapper. He owned the game for a bit, and he's really kind of this big figure that almost transcends rap, honestly, and hip-hop, honestly. Kind of ascends it. But he has a lot of good music, songs like Ambitions as a Rider, Only God Can Judge Me. He's had a bunch of different songs, Me Against the World. He's had a bunch of good albums and all that stuff, and a lot of the stuff that he did was very interesting. So that's why I put Tupac at my number 3. At number 2, my number 2 is Biggie Smalls. Now, the reason I have Biggie Smalls at my number 2 spot is because I think that his lyrical ability is really something that is difficult to touch. And if you listen to certain songs, and also another thing is that he brings this kind of creative aspect to rap that was pretty much, I would say, not really seen at that point. So making a track like 10 Crack Commandments, where you're making a little twist on the 10 Commandments, and then you're making it rhyme all at the same time while giving basically rules of being, a crack dealer. That's creative as fuck. And also, if you listen to the song Warning, he's like phone conversations, and they're all rap. They all rhyme. Like, that is creative, that is interesting, and that is dope. And if you hear a song, it's called Notorious Thugs. And that song, his rapping flow is just crazy unmatched. Just crazy unmatched. The speed that he raps it at, I'm like, damn, like, that's dope. And so basically I've had like probably around like 12 tracks of his where I just have been replaying them over and over and over again for almost damn near 2 years now. It's almost been 2 years, and I still love those tracks. We're talking Warning, we're talking Juicy, we're talking Sky's the Limit, You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You, a bunch of other stuff, right? So all of these tracks, what's it called? Shit. Somebody's Got to Die. I hate when I just forget and I can't remember a song like that. But Notorious Thugs is another one of them. 10 Crack Commandments. Ton of songs like that, N-Words Bleed, those are all dope tracks. My number 1 spot goes to Nas, Nasty Nas, as also known as. So I give this spot to Nas. Now Nas, I have to give the 1-2 because he has so much music. And it's difficult to match up Biggie to other, big rappers because Biggie only lived long enough to put out 2 albums. So it's difficult to compare. Nas has 12 albums. 12 albums. So, and I think Nas was cursed because Illmatic is, I would say, the best hip-hop album of all time. Most people would say that. When you put that out as your first album, everyone is expecting you to meet that or to top it, and he was never really able to do that. So everybody who listened to Illmatic and thought it was great was like, oh man, like he never lived up to it again. So a lot of his music that I would say is good, like it's good, just kind of gets washed away. And now the albums I'm talking about like that are the albums like Untitled. Untitled's a really good album that I thought was kind of swept under the I thought was horribly, like criminally underrated. But you know, I think that I would say that Nas has 3 classic albums for me. So, and I think that most people would agree with this. Illmatic, of course, is a classic. That's undebatable. Now, I would also say that It Was Written was a classic, and I would say that Stillmatic was a classic. Now, both both It Was Written and Stillmatic had a different feel to them than Illmatic because they were a lot more polished. It had more polished beats to them. So, you know, songs like The Message and Shootouts and Set Out from It Was Written. And you're talking about Stillmatic, things like Smoking and, you know, You're the Man, and, you know, Ether was on there, of course, you know, Got Yourself a Gun. All those songs have a lot more polished beats, and it's a lot more beat heavy. And he even has, believe it or not, some party songs on that album. So, and he has some good songs like My Country was really good as well. That's probably, if you're political, you will probably want to hear that. It's really good. You know, I put his lyrical ability is truly remarkable. You know, on the song on It Was Written album where he personifies a gun. You know, truly creative, truly remarkable. And, you know, the song Rewind on Stillmatic where he raps the story backwards. It's fucking crazy. And he's just been so consistent. So, again, I would say Illmatic, It Was Written, and Stillmatic, all classic albums, right? But I would say that albums I Am, God's Son, The Lost Tapes, you know, the Untitled album, and even Hip Hop Was Dead was okay, but those 4 albums are good. Like, really good, I would say. I would say The Lost Tapes is the best out of those, but you're taught when you come to the albums like Untitled and I Am, they're fucking good. Like, I Am, I could go through the whole album. I could listen to the whole album. I'm like, damn. Like, why was this so underrated? I would probably say because it was a little politically charged a little bit, and it had a little more of a deeper kind of you know, demeanor and feel to it, I would probably say. And Nas had a kind of darker persona in that whole album. But anyways, those are my top 3. Let me know who your top 3 rappers are. I'm really curious, you know. Remember, you know, list 1, 2, and 3, and then explain briefly why. And if you have any honorable mentions, go ahead and do that too.